goddesses, welcome back. I'm here to finally finish up part two of the seven universal laws. So I'll just jump in on where I left off, which is law number four, the law of polarity. So obviously, we know what polarity means: two different ends of the same spectrum, or sometimes I like to think of it as a battery. It's one battery, but you have a positive and a negative end, and they're polar opposites. Basically, everything has its opposite in life, but it's still part of the same stick. There's always potential for the opposite outcome. Instead of being stuck thinking that you're only going to have this negative outcome, maybe you've been running the same script in your head over and over about, I don't have a high enough paying job, I don't like my living circumstances, whatever it may be. You don't realize it because you are not seeing the polarity. You're at one complete end of the spectrum. You're on the complete negative side. But attached to that is the positive side, way over here. I love this book, You Are the Placebo by Dr. Joe Dispenza. And if you don't know his story, it's freaking amazing. There's a documentary called Heal, and he's featured in it, and it's just groundbreaking stuff. In regards to the law of polarity, on page 96, he talks about stress. Stress keeps us living in survival mode. Stress is one of the biggest causes of epigenetic change, which means change to your DNA, because it knocks your body out of balance. So if we can apply the law of polarity to situations that cause us stress, stress is over here. What's the opposite of stress? Relaxation. And if stress causes chaos to your genetics, to your DNA, then relaxation, I would think, would cause order or predictability or things that work, that have a predictable outcome. So if you apply this to your life, if you're at a stressful point in your life, would it not be possible to just simply change your feeling of stress to relaxation? I mean, it's totally possible. People they get stuck. They don't understand that you're at one end of the polar opposite. Attached to the same pole, there's two ends to one pole. Imagine you as a human being that pole, and your mind. Your state of mind represents anywhere along this pole. If you're constantly at the negative, always stressed out end of the pole, do you not realize that there's a whole opposite end over here that you could simply just turn on and focus, which is relaxation and imagining things that work out for you instead of things that are completely chaotic and dysregulating, to your body? You also have to remember another subset of the law of polarity is potential. You're never locked in to one side of the pole. There is always potential to go to the complete opposite end. I mean, have you ever heard of people that were homeless that ended up starting their own business, becoming millionaires, or getting into like Harvard Law School? There are stories of people that have done this. And I'm sure you're not even at your lowest point. I'm sure you're not homeless if you have the leisure time to watch this on YouTube. So you're not even all the way at the complete, polar opposite end of what is known as like rock bottom. You're not even there. So for you to travel to the area that represents your highest self, of all the successes that you wish to achieve, you're actually not even quite far from that. So just remember, when you're feeling down and stuck, like you feel like the same problem is happening over and over again, just remember the pole. And a pole always has two ends, and you're not that far away from being at the completely other end of the pole, which represents all your dreams being achieved. And I can attest to that, you know. I think it's just a part of life. People, if there wasn't polarity, it would be really boring and you would have no challenges to accomplish. So there's always potential. As long as you are alive, there is always potential for you to reach your highest desires and dreams. And that is a perfect segue into law number 5, which is the law of rhythm. Because in quantum physics, everything is energy and everything's moving, even things that appear to have mass, like, you know, this wall behind me, this chair I'm sitting in, if you look closely in a microscope, like all these quantum physicists have done, 99.99% of that is space or energy. Like there's actually very little to almost no matter in that. And it's hard for us to believe because it's like, well, if that was the case, how come this chair doesn't just move away? This book goes a lot into it, and you have to read it to like understand, because he does mention that because these physical objects spend more time in the 3D world, that's why they don't just disappear out of it. Like there's different levels, like how much time you spend in a particular place gives it the illusion of being solid and immovable. Like our bodies, yeah, our bodies are always changing because we age, we grow up, but we're still generally the same person. But when you go into your thoughts, which is not matter at all, your thoughts are strictly vibration. And that is a driving force of your life and where you want to go. And so the law of rhythm basically stating that everything's going in and out like a wave. Nothing stays static. However, you can manipulate the degree of how far you swing back and forth. Instead of going from 0 to 100 every day, you know, that's very chaotic, but it would still apply to someone that goes from like 90 to 100 every day. Like you're always kind of operating at an interval that is within the 10th percentile. You're always going to have a little bit of pushback. It's always going to swing in and it's going to swing out. But I feel like the more you practice meditation and the more you learn these laws, the degree to which it swings in and out will be lessened, which will make your life seem more stable. If you're able to control your emotions, no matter what happens, no matter who makes you mad, the external circumstances are, if you generally have a good disposition, that will serve you much better than if every little minor inconvenience you completely swing in and out. You know why that hurts you? Because it takes a lot of energy to return back to your baseline. If you're going completely to 100 degrees and you want to come back to 50, you have to move 50 degrees. Versus if you're always kind of at a mild 50, sometimes you swing up to 60, sometimes you swing down to 40. That's only a difference of about 10 degrees. And so you exert much less energy in your everyday life. So the law of rhythm is actually to give you a sense of reassurance that you're not supposed to be completely flatlined and stable as if you were dead or something. Living requires a rhythmic movement. It's always going to have its ups and downs. There's always a time for everything. And so the more you understand this, the less you will be distraught or depressed when you have a little bit of a downswing, because there's always going to be an upswing. Next, let's talk about law number 6, the law of cause and effect. What you reap is what you sow. I think a lot of people that talk nowadays about the law of attraction, depending on who you're listening to, sometimes they give you this kind of get rich quick, Ponzi scheme almost belief that if you just think it, it'll happen. Yes, that's the beginning of it. Yes, you do have to first conceive of the idea of it, but that's not all. Cause and effect means you have to put a cause into it. If you want to lose weight, you don't just sit there changing nothing, but thinking oh, now I'm going to lose weight. That's not how it works. I feel like what you need to dive into deeper regarding this is people that look for quick fixes like this, they don't want to put in the work because they cannot see themselves having the energy, having the willpower to actually put in that effort, knowing that they will achieve success. They think it's too far gone. And so they've already kind of given up before they started. But if you just tweak that a little bit and you say, well, if today I just change one thing, I know that will set off a series of events that later on down the road, because you're not looking for a quick fix, later on down the road will lead to great success. That's where you change your mindset. It's not that you just wish it and you're magically skinny now. It's that you flip your mindset to that you can eventually be skinny or healthy. You can. You don't know when. You know that you're going to have to put in some work into it, but you know that ultimately you're going to have no problem achieving this in the end. What you sow is what you reap. If you just begin that first day taking a 10-minute brisk walk, maybe eating an apple or something, that will further cause you to make more decisions the next day and the next day, because you start to feel more confident of your capability of losing the weight and making decisions that make you actually feel good and feel that you are going towards that goal. That is where you have to put in the work. And it's not to say that you have to struggle and just completely, it's not meant to be super hard. It can be challenging. But when you use the word challenge, I believe a challenge is a positive thing because it asks you to do more than what you're currently doing. And we all know that we are capable of doing more. I mean, if you look at people that are pushed to the limit, I remember I was obsessed watching these I Shouldn't Be Alive episodes, and there were people that survived in such extreme conditions that you would think for sure they're gonna die. People trapped in the cold with no shelter, no food, and no water for weeks, and experiencing hypothermia, frostbite, hallucinations. They survived. So our bodies are way more capable of what we think we can do. But when you're presented with challenges, I believe that is the time and the place for you to do more than what you have been doing in order to reap what you sow. Now, the 7th law is probably one of my favorite laws, and it's not a law that is talked about a lot. It's called the law of gender. It's kind of like the law of polar opposites, except it's different in the fact that you need like for example, a male and a female to create life in its natural form. It's like one thing needs the other to create a third thing. You want to start your own business, your own retail business online, selling, I don't know, chapsticks or something. You can't just put your store online and make any money and be successful if you don't have a customer. You can't write a blog or write poetry and not have someone read it. Because when those two forces join, that is the creation principle. You need those two things for the third thing to exist. This law also helps us understand what our roles are when it comes to certain things. Like, for example, if I'm a customer, I'm looking for a product that meets my needs. If I'm a business person, I'm looking for the customer to pay for my thing, for my service or whatnot. If I want to have children, I need a man to complete that which I don't have, which I need. And so when you're looking for a relationship or looking to start your own business, you do need that second opposite component. You do need it. And, I've been seeing a lot these days of women that have been really hurt and jaded. I know I have been through that, so I'm no stranger. I don't need a man and I can do all this by myself. That is a broken theory because you do, in a sense, need that other person. Not in a desperate way, but in a natural way. How do you think we all came onto this earth? There was always a mother and a father to create us. And that has gone on for thousands of years to create the human population. It's just an undeniable fact. You just can't get away from it. And when you understand that and you submit to that, what happens is you lose that kind of like jaded, unappealing personality trait where you think that you can just do it all by yourself and you don't need anyone, and you push people away, people that maybe can highly benefit your life. You push them away because you're rejecting the law of gender. You're rejecting that there is an opposite that can help you complete what you are looking to do in your life. And so if you're looking to create something, whether it be a family, a lifestyle, a business, you need that opposite component to help you unlock that third thing that will be a production of the two forces coming together. I hope that makes sense. And I feel like that one is especially important because people, they have this hyper individualism that I don't know where it just developed over time, especially in the United States, where it's like you don't need anyone, do everything by yourself, depend on the government or whatever. And I feel like the sooner you realize that it's okay to acknowledge that you need the opposite component in your life, because that will allow you to create everything that you've been desiring. And so be nice. Be nice to the opposite gender. Be nice to your customers. Be nice to your colleagues. Don't have this jaded mindset that you can do all this by yourself and you don't need anyone. Because at the end of the day, that's just going to hinder you and no one else. I hope all of this made sense to you, lovely goddesses out there. I'm excited to be back. I've been gone. There's been a lot of life changes for me, things that I've manifested that I swore to myself I was so stuck in that negative polarity part of my life for a few months or more. And I literally, with all the teachings that I express to you on these videos, I do it because these are the same exact things that I think about and I study that have literally allowed me to achieve things that I thought I would never, ever, ever get. And that was so depressing me and making me just, like I said, like just jaded and defeated and distressed. And I look at everything in the past year, 2022, and there was a lot of that law of rhythm. Don't get me wrong. There was a lot of that swinging in and swinging out, and to large degrees. And when I kind of noticed that, I was like, whoa, you need to stop that. You need to regulate your rhythm in life. And after I did that, my goodness, I've achieved so much, and maybe I'll make another video about that. I don't know if you guys are actually like interested in my personal life or not, but they're just further examples, like real life examples that can help inspire you to continue on and don't lose hope. So, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment down below if you have any questions or experiences that you want to share.